I can't hear it, Abby. Okay, now I can hear it.
All right. Call the meeting to order.
Right, Hawkins, yes, Burrows.
Yes.
Stoffel. Yeah. Moreno.
Yes.
Vargas.
Yes,
All right, we have a form.
All right, there's been a request to add the first reading of board policy 505.8 about parent and family engagement. This is a mandatory policy that is being updated to align with IASB in accordance with the recommendations from our district desk audit through the Department of Education. We'll have a second reading on April 1st board agenda. This requires a motion
I'll make one.
and a second.
I'll take it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Carries. Now I need a motion to approve the amended agenda
I'll move to approve the amended agenda.
and a second.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Carries. Communications and visitors, we've got currently central administration.
No fundraising requests, but just an overnight trip to make you aware of, state FFA competition, April 14th through the 16th. And they use funds from their FFA accounts, approximately 40 to 50 students. Students in trouble.
Don't you just had your podium back? I do not know where that is.
Where's Adam? Where's Adam in his truck?
Is it in Myra? Shh, we do not know where it is.
Don't know where it is.
We do not know where that podium is. Okay. So the first one we're starting with is the on-track status, I do believe, report that was shared with you earlier, or, well, I guess in the board packet, so, kind of walk you through what it looks like. If you go to the next slide. Part of the reason that first slide was in there is this is something we'll go over with students, so we'll pull together the whole students, not the whole body, because they don't fit in the auditorium, but by grade levels, and kind of walk them through what second trimester looked like as well, so we can celebrate successes and just encourage, I guess, further goals there. So this is the entire, the percent of students passing all classes. You can see that it's continues to be on the increase from 2020, which was my favorite year. We did graduate all our seniors in 2020 though, so that was a good thing. Right? So that continues to go up, which I think just reinforces the culture that we're trying to build at the high school, or continue to build at the high school, and that's that idea that, you know, we can do hard things, we can do this, and encouraging kids on an individual level in their advisement, so at a grade level, and then just teachers in their class level. So then kind of to break this down a little bit, next slide. This would be by trimester. So you can see even first trimester to second trimester. First trimester, we had 97% of our kids passing all their classes, and this trimester we had 98%. So again, just trying to continue to grow that. And then next slide, this one I think is, again, some of these slides are the ones we show kids. So kind of interest, I suppose, to you all, but more important, when we talk to kids, we can, you know, talk about, look at our freshmen, they're here 2 trimesters and averaging above a 3 So that's pretty impressive for freshmen. Sophomores, we can talk to them about, listen, we know there's a sophomore slump and you're reflecting it, so let's fix that and not be the norm, kind of thing, right? The next slide shows, so each trimester we have a weekly competition where classes earn a point, so 3 points, 2 points, or 1 point based on the grade with the least amount of tardies and absences, and the grades with passing the most classes. And so then we keep track of those points through that whole trimester. We hand out we draw names for kids who don't have any absences or tardies and who are passing all their classes, and worked with Adam to give out free activity passes for the year. So randomly draw those names. And then freshman one last trimester too, so. And I think some of that is still being new to high school, but also last spring, Gens went down to the middle school and talked to them when they were 8th graders and basically like hyped them up, like, oh, listen, when you get there, you can beat them all. Because they had really good attendance at middle school, which is pretty typical, you know, so just kind of encouraging them, let's keep this going, sort of thing, right? Let's see, then if we're looking at the, this is by week. So within the 12 weeks, and you can see in particular sort of that, I would say we're gonna look, maybe this pink week would definitely be the one right after conferences where suddenly everybody's like, whoa, there's only 5 weeks left. And they sort of start to make sure they're getting all their work in and making up quizzes or whatever it needs to be. And that's pretty typical kind of across the board there, and then making that last ditch effort to pass all their classes at the end. Some of them, if you look at the freshmen, again, pretty consistent throughout that whole trimester, and so I think we've sort of set a good thing with them, and hopefully that can continue to grow and continue to maintain through sophomore year and so on. The next one is attendance data. Yeah, I mean, so seniors kind of have that senioritis maybe a little bit. I do also think that when you think back in 2020, 2021, that school year when we were hybrid, we were a lot more flexible about absences. We were more flexible about open campus a little bit, even if they weren't seniors, just trying to keep the place clean and germ-free. And so I think that they maybe formed some, I wouldn't necessarily call them bad habits, but definitely some habits about maybe not being here as often, or, you know, I don't probably need this class, or kind of dipping out on classes a little bit more. But that 12th grade group is that last group. So I think we'll continue to see better numbers with all of them. For attendance also. The next one, this is definitely for the students. When we talk about it, we have it broken down by grade level, so we can say to kids, listen, no tardies, look at your average GPA versus 1 to 4 tardies versus 5 or more tardies. So really kind of just talking to them about the importance of being here, the importance of being on time. And this is sort of the, I guess, results of that. So kind of showing the proof in the pudding. That's what I was looking for. So fun. The next one, again, this is absences. So no absences that are unexcused. What that GPA looks like, 1 to 4, and then 5 or more unexcused absences. And so when we talk about unexcused absences, those are counted by period. So if you missed a whole day unexcused, then that would be 6 in a day. Next slide is, yeah, first period is still our growth area. 8:15 is really early for some kids. I mean, we do have some kids, realistically speaking, that maybe drop kids off in other buildings, or for whatever reason do have sort of a more legitimate reason for being late, but in general, it's an area, and I think across the probably United States at a high school level, first period is a issue where more students are tardy or more students are absent. So this is our on track status. If you go to the next one, it has it compared to first trimester, which I think might be a little more relevant. So we're looking at where they are on pace to graduate. These, the numbers we use are sort of high numbers. When we talk about graduating from West Liberty High School, you need 56 credits and you can earn 18 in a year. So realistically speaking, if you take 6 classes, all 3 trimesters and pass them all, you can graduate with 72 credits. So there's plenty of wiggle room there. So to have kids, we sort of use a higher bar, right? So at this point, if they're a freshman and they passed all 12 classes, they're definitely right on track to graduate. Because realistically speaking, they could fail 3 classes their freshman and sophomore year, you know, and still be on track. And so, but we say they have to have, we use 10 as the number here for second trimester for freshmen. So that's probably more than it needs to be, but also trying to build in some cushion for them. So, and have those conversations earlier than later. Let's make sure we need you to be passing. You can't afford to fail anymore, that kind of thing. What can we do to help you get where you need to be? And so those are what our numbers look like. 11th grade, hold steady. 10th grade, woohoo! And 9th grade, just a little bit of a slip, but not too bad. And then 12th grade, the actual 12th grade numbers are due to, we had a couple of kids move out that were on track. And so we haven't gone down number wise, but percentage wise, because we had some kids move out, and then the ones that weren't on track they make a bigger percentage, if that makes sense. And then the next slide has how many credits they're behind. So what we're really talking about in 9th grade is we have 5 kiddos that are between 1 and 5 credits behind, and 2 that are more than 5 credits behind. And again, that's that number of 10. I would say again, some of this, I don't know if you feel like those numbers are scary. I'm not really worried about them, but we have had an influx of new students who've come to us, and because we're on trimesters, they maybe came to us at the start of 3rd trimester, but we're on a semester program. So they only had 5 credits and now they're starting with us. And so we're saying, yeah, you're behind. We can catch you up, and or based on where you came from and how many semesters you were there, adjust the number you need to graduate, but still just straight numbers, you're behind. So, and then you can see sophomores, juniors, and seniors. And again, the seniors, I think we're going to be able to get them all through this year. There's a couple that we've had to have some sort of more serious talks with. Like, is a diploma really what you want? Is this something that you want to work for? What can we do? Here's what we're saying you need to do. What can you commit to? What do you know, kind of thing. So I think we'll get them through. And then the last one, so on Mondays and Thursdays, we have the Center for Academic Progress. It's a place where students can come to be retaught some things if they aren't sure what they're doing. It's a space for homework with some one-on-one attention or small group attention. And so Andrew Gens tracks the participation each Monday and Thursday, how many kids show up. And so we average about 10 students on Mondays and about 11 students on Thursdays. The closer it gets to finals or when there's a big test, we see an influx, more kids coming, that sort of thing. But definitely talking it up, and I think this is a higher average than we had first trimester, so they're continuing to use that. Okay. So then this just compares last year's grades to this year's grades. So last year, 91% of our freshmen were on track. This year, 94%. So those numbers look similar to what we had versus first trimester and second trimester. But you can see we have, except for 12th grade, and again, I told you what that number's for, but more students on track to graduate. And then the last slide is just where they were last year versus where they are this year. So, question?
Comment, I guess. It looks like the trends are good. Yeah. And thank you very much for sharing kind of what's behind the numbers, because it makes it even more interesting. So yeah, so it's kind of like, hey, I got it. It's better.
Yeah. And we've added quite a few newcomers this year too, so are coming to us with little to no English, and so sometimes that can impact where they are too, making sure we build them class schedules that really help them be confident in what they're in, so that builds those GPAs too.
Yeah, I'll make up a story about one of the trends on there, and that one where the last week is so high, they're getting ready for college.
Yes.
And they're ready to do all-nighters.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yep.
Remember? So I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Any other questions? Next one, yes. Yeah. Sean and I met last week in a one-on-one meeting, and I was telling him a little bit about this, and he thought it might be something that you all would like to hear a little bit more about. So the University of Iowa is partnering with us and some other schools in this Teacher Education for Equity through Partnerships grant. It's a federal grant for 5 years. And the idea behind it is really to build our own teacher workforce, if you will. So there are a couple of parts to it. One is to create an educators rising club or some kind of future teacher club at the high school level, and pull in students who might be interested there's a whole curriculum that goes with this educators rising. And so that's part of the grant, is to create that club. And so I worked with Stephanie and Sarah and Andrea, our counselors. We have a program called Zello that allows the students to do interest inventories, and we can pull reports from that. So they gave me a report of all the students that scored highly on that interest inventory that might be interested in education. So then I tracked them down to see if they were interested, and so we're kind of in the process of getting that club going. Have some teachers, I think, that are interested in helping lead that at the high school level. The other part of it then is to have these students be in a classroom setting, primarily at the elementary level is what we're looking for. And so trying to find some mentor teachers at the elementary that would be willing, not necessarily to host the students every time, but to be a mentor for them. So if they're in a classroom and have questions, or just someone they can kind of their touch base person at the elementary. So we have a senior actually who spent all of second trimester in a second grade dual language classroom at the elementary, and who is very interested and will be part of the first cohort for this grant next fall at the University of Iowa. So, Educators Rising Club, getting them in classrooms at the elementary. And then the third part to that is really connecting with other schools that are also doing this same sort of programming. So Iowa City Schools, College Community, Davenport Schools, Columbus Junction, and West Liberty are the 5 districts that are involved. And so what we're allowed essentially 2 spots in the cohort next fall, where the kids that were part of this and part of this grant then go through those education classes at the University of Iowa as a cohort. And so we went to an Educators Rising conference at the University of Iowa a week or so ago. I took, 2 weeks ago, this last week we were here. And we spent the day at the University of Iowa and sort of intermingled with some of the students from the other school districts. It was a lot of question and answer. We were able to observe an education class, see what that looked like, and just in general sort of get a feeling for what this grant, for me, what the grant entails, but for them to get an idea of what it might look like to go through the teacher education program at the University of Iowa. So part of the reason that I kind of zoomed all through it, sorry. That's okay. Part of the reason that it has that equity through that education for equity through partnerships is the primary idea behind this is to encourage students, minority students, and students of color to become teachers, especially in the districts that are involved. Often the teachers don't look like the students they teach, or the students don't necessarily see teachers that look like them. And so that's the other idea behind this, is to encourage and help grow minority and students of color to be teachers. I think I covered it all, but do you have questions? I kind of zoomed through it.
Yeah, if you have, so we would have 2 representatives from West Liberty that would be in the program next year, is that what you said?
We have 2 slots in the first cohort that
Okay.
starts next fall.
So how do you choose those students?
Right now, I just have one that
Oh,
would
okay.
qualify and fit in the demographic that they're looking for.
Gotcha.
And so they're hoping for a cohort of 10 each year. And so other school districts, when we were there a couple weeks ago, they were, I don't think I have anybody. I don't think, so I think there's room if we had 3 or 4. And I think they would do what they could to stretch that and accommodate it. They also found out in October that they received this grant. And so they have some extra money already built up that they were expecting to hear in August and spend more money. So I think that'll, because they are trying to also attach at least a little bit of a scholarship for those students in the cohorts.
So it'd be the university that would whittle it down if there was too many students.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like a grow your own thing, which is cool. We had talked a little bit about the dual language and students and maybe combining those kids. I'm glad to hear Davenport is in it because I was just reviewing the LULAC scholarship for the past 4 years, and the 2 councils that are awarding the most scholarships are West Liberty and Davenport. And it's like $102,000. And those are kids are going to the University of Iowa. So I think we could possibly drill down and see which ones are like education majors. And that would be a nice pool to maybe check. And so we're kind of like watching them afterwards go through the university, right? And continue to grow and develop and then come back.
Yeah.
Let me share that with you.
Okay.
I think you'll get a kick out of it. There's a lot of kids and they're all going to the University of Iowa. Of course, all the engineers are going to ISU, but which is fine. But yeah, I think there's a lot of education kids in there.
Yeah, the University of Iowa has really sort of upped their game, if you will, when it comes to the teacher education prep. So it's getting some good candidates out of there, and then hopefully can feed some kids into it. So.
And because of the grant money, no cost to the district to do
Correct.
this, other than, I guess, personnel time.
But there's even stipends attached to that. So a stipend for whomever would run the Educator Rising Club, as well as be a mentor at the elementary. So there are some stipends included in there.
Right.
And that again is something that we won't tap into really until next fall. So we're just trying to get it up and running.
Do you have a feel? Because I think it said it was an administrator and a teacher that were, you're just kind of setting it out and
Yeah.
see who's
And
interested.
they have an advisory board also, and so one of the keys to this would be the Education Academy at Muscatine Community College. And so when they asked for names for the advisory board, I gave them the name of one of the professors down there, as well as Nalnita Winter at the MCC, and then a person here in our community that said they'd be interested. So again, just trying to build it specifically for West Liberty.
I was able to go to a workshop at the ISD conference for educators rising, so I'm excited that.
Yeah. They have a really just all put together curriculum, so it's
Right.
kind of nice to be able to step into it, and they're willing to come out and work with our kids, and so it's really just me dragging my feet, not dragging my feet, but trying to get it all put together. So yeah.
That's exciting.
Thank you.
Okay, to sit down quite a bit, but
Next item, concurrent enrollment offerings.
that's me again. Actually, I have Sarah Schnepper, who is our college and career transition counselor. We share her with Wilton and MCC. And we are extremely appreciative to have her with us. She's doing a fantastic job. This is her first year in it. She's taken it head on and yeah, really done some nice work there. And then Steph Ramsey is one of our counselors at the high school, so she's here also. And I'll let them talk and then I'll just jump in where you don't want to talk.
Love it.
Maybe I give you the right one.
Come on, Becky. I think that was her.
Did you just call me Becky?
No.
Oh,
Becky's face in front
I
of
was
Katie.
not Becky. We've talked about this.
Yeah, you guys are easily confused. Hi, okay, as you said, I'm Steph Ramsey, one of the high school counselors, and I work this year with the 10th and 12th graders, and then we alternate with Andrea, who's on maternity leave right now, is with 9 and 11. And then we switch each year, and then that way we have the same students all throughout, but then we also are changing up what we do so that we're not all doing 9th graders or 12th graders all year, so. And then Katie Thrasher is the counseling secretary in our department. We work closely with Jackie Henderson as the tag teacher, and then obviously very closely with Sarah, also college and career transition counselor, which I think.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so DCAP is the district career academic plan, not academic, yeah, academic. Career academic plan, oh, it says right there. Sorry. The DCAP plan is one that's required by the state that works with 4-year planning, starting in 8th grade through senior year, helping students sort of figure out what they want to do, help them find a path, help them figure out what they want to do post-secondary, that sort of thing. And so we have a DCAP plan that outlines all of the necessary state required components, some of which includes what we do through Zello, so interest inventories, college and career exploration, work-based learning exploration, some of that thing. We have a team that has Vicki Vernon and myself on it, as well as Dan Stevenson and Russ Hughes and Sarah Knott from the middle school. And then at the high school, we have Steph, Sarah, Andrea Schulteis, and then our CTE teachers. So Zach Morris, Elise Bicey, Betsy Hood, Kathy Garrido, Meredith Shantz, who's our IJAG education specialist, and Dawn Womack is our special education representative. And then Jackie Henderson sits in on it when she can as well. So the DCAP has a pretty specific format that we have to complete, and we did that and submitted it last year. Received some feedback on it, that it looked fine, kind of thing. We have a training and a review coming up on April 3rd at the AEA to see what needs to be changed or how it's changed. And then it'll be due to the state again, May 5th. So we anticipate just maybe tweaking some things if there have been some changes from the state, but it's sort of all outlined for us basically through Zello. So that was I think a good plan for us to move to Zello. So I do have the DCAP plan and I can send it to Sean and he can send it out to you if you're interested in looking at it. I'm happy to do that. I don't think we attached it in here though, so.
I told Abby, but I have to go to reception, but I know the great work you guys do with dual credits, so I got, thank you guys. See you guys. Sorry.
Yeah. Maybe.
Okay.
Hello, it's all me. Hi, again, I'm Sarah Snepper. I am the college and career transition counselor for MCC. It's a lot of C's when you say my title. So I just like to tell kids I'm kind of like an academic advisor here in your school. So mainly I work with seniors at West Liberty, but I have been triaging lately since Andrea hasn't been there, and I am a licensed school counselor, so like I can jump in wherever needed if needed. But what I've been working with the seniors so far this year is post-secondary planning. So I've had some come in with college applications, the FAFSA and the mess that's been this year, which has been a joy. If any of you have older kids and have to work through it, I apologize. or the FAFSA. Scholarships that they like to fill out, job applications. I've helped a couple kids do that. And then I have my strategies for academic success class, which I teach. And so we do a lot of that in that. I just started teaching at third trimester too. I don't know if it's going to follow the same exact format just because all this stuff is done with them. So I've kind of like started pulling the audience in the class, like, what do you guys want to know before you go to college? Because I don't know, I've been that kid coming from small town Iowa and going to this huge metropolis of a college. So I like to be useful in other areas, not just this is how you fill out this and this is what you put here. So I try to put myself out there, somebody that they can always talk to about that. I advise for their MCC and their dual enroll classes, help them figure out, you know, if they have an interest in something, then I'm like, yeah, absolutely try it. And then if they don't like it, well, then let's look at some gen ed stuff to get in there so that we're at least building up something that you can take with you when you go on from here. Like I said, I do the academic success class. The position is currently filled. That didn't get deleted. That's me. Sorry about that. I try to split my time. I don't know if my numbers meet that, but like I find myself hitting all 3 spots several times in a day during the week. I like to be, that's what I like about this position. That's what intrigued me to come to this position because I like to be there for kids when they need me. So it's kind of who I am. Really quickly.
We have quite a few good connections with other community allies that help us. So some of them have a grant attached to it and some of them have people that are attached to it. So the AmeriCorps is our 2 senior leaders that help there are current senior students who help their fellow seniors fill out college applications and FAFSA forms and things like that. So they're kind of like the mini experts and they're like the cheerleaders for their class because they don't always want to listen to an adult. So why not listen to another student? So we have 2 of those. We work closely with Muscatine Community College, as you know, which offers almost all of our dual credit classes. Aligned Impact Muscatine has very helpful individuals that come out and help with our different programs, and we meet with them regularly. And same with Iowa College Aid as far as helping us through all the FAFSA changes. And they do our course to college, which is like the 5-step of applying, deciding, finance, but all in the right order. And then the Iowa College Access Network provides a ton of resources and helps with coming out and filling out FAFSA and doing some presentations when grants can meet that. So
Yeah, and Aligned Impact Muscatine also has worked to acquire grants that help us sponsor some of those activities such as College Decision Day and Senior Day. So they've been a fantastic partner.
So I kind of wanted to review the 3 different ways you can earn college in high school with you. We talk about this a little bit in the 8th grade when they're doing 4-year plans, and then we continue to talk about it throughout high school so that they have an understanding. It can still be limited sometimes, but and then we also try to share this with parents too. At the conferences nights, usually we'll have like a college information night or high school information night. So the 3 ways to earn college credit in high school at West Liberty is, the first way is, if you want to keep going, is in the high school. So there's 2 different ways. One of them is through our AP classes. That is a list of the current AP classes that we offer. And then, so I'll let you kind of just read through that. AP, no, it's okay. AP is a year-long course. They take the test exam at the end and then get credit based on how they perform on the test, and in conjunction with the college that they go to, they can decide how much they will award for that. And it's a big commitment, but I think it's one of our best ways to get students prepared for college level courses. At least that's what we've heard from former students. Another way that they can earn college credit at the high school is by taking our concurrent enrollment classes that are those are connected with MCC classes, and they earn college credit for those classes from MCC. They're usually just 1 trimester class, each of those. And then they earn the credit as long as they get a C or higher. And it does start their college transcript. So we remind students that your grades in these classes matter because it'll start your college transcript, which could affect your financial aid. Okay, the second way we kind of frame it is for students to join an academy at MCC. And you want to talk about it?
Yeah, I can. So, it says a year-long commitment, at least a semester. Like I said, if students really feel like it's not a choice for them, then I've told them, yeah, don't keep going in it, because having that baking certificate isn't gonna help you if that's not what you want to do in life. And find something else. But so they're basically a group of classes that the students go to in person on campus at MCC, and it teaches them a trade, a skill that they can then, when they graduate high school, they can go out and get a career in that. So, they have 12 plus credits by the end of the year. So it's a quick way to get like a big chunk, at least like a semester done when they start out. If they want to go on in education, then they have a good start with their classes. Other high school students from around the area are in it too. So it's not just like they go and this is the West Liberty group. They get to intermingle with all different students around the area. And then they have to take at least 2 high school classes while they're doing that, because these ones are like half a year. So, or half a day, sorry. So they leave usually around, I think like 12:30-ish, I think. And then the classes are 1 to 3. And that is usually comprised of, they have kind of like a classroom. They're not a lecture because a lot of them are hands-on and trades type things. So like the instructor will talk about it while doing it, and then they all go out into the different areas and they get to have that hands-on practice. If you've never been down there before and want to, definitely reach out. Like I can set you up with Tia to give you a tour. I can go down because I just think some of it's like really cool to see, especially the medical area, like how they have that set up. It's like walking into a high school. So, or a hospital. And then transportation is available here, which is wonderful because not all schools do that. So they get rides to and from.
Yeah, so we have a registered apprenticeship on the books at West Liberty High School, and that is for a CNC operator, which is a computer number coding. I don't know, I think that's what it's called. It's where they program the computer to then make the robot arm do whatever the robot arm is supposed to do. It's a really cool thing to watch. HNI is one of the big partners with the registered apprenticeship. And that's currently the one we have on the books. It's a 2-year commitment. We have one student who is doing that currently. So finishing their junior year. So this summer they'll work at HNI, then next year continue to work at HNI as it fits in their schedule. Take the second year of the Advanced Manufacturing Career Academy at MCC. Graduate next year and essentially need 2 more courses to have that AA in CNC, which HNI is willing to pay for and help the student again gain employment there. So
here is a list of the different academies that they offer right now. On the left is the technical and trades options, and then the yellow square bullets are the certificate that they can receive for those. And then the ones on the right are like it says, the liberal arts transfer 4-year colleges. So not only are they learning trades, but they're also having opportunities to take some of those gen eds, either gen ed classes or classes that it would be at the entry level of the major that they're thinking about, which is a nice way for them to explore and like decide to pursue it or explore and go, hey, it's not for me, but I learned some stuff and got some elective credit. So
that's the other thing that I tell students too, like even if you find out, you know, it's not for you, you learn a skill that you can use, like automotive, baking, welding, like any of that, that's a useful skill that you can use throughout life, so. And truck driving is coming. Lots of students are very excited about that, so I don't have all the details of how it will pan out for them yet, but I know they're pouring concrete, so it's coming.
One of the ways when we first started working with doing the academies, we were sending more students to Kirkwood as Muscatine was developing their programming. So this is a list of a few of the programs that Kirkwood offers that MCC might not yet offer. But we've noticed that, you know, there's dental on there, but we've noticed that if there's someone in dental hygiene, a lot of the prereqs to get into the dental hygiene program do coincide with healthcare, and our partnership is through Muscatine. So the only way they can go to Kirkwood is if Muscatine approves that, and it's a way, it's like, oh, we cannot offer that. Yes, you can go to Kirkwood. So we have a few of those, but for the most part, they're going to MCC. And then, so that third and final way of earning college credit outside of, the ones we've mentioned would be taking individual college classes on their own. And so that might be either online or in person with other college students. And they're taking classes based maybe on their interest or other like gen eds that they want to take. And it would be classes like maybe they're interested in philosophy or a geology class, and it's a class we just don't offer or have an academy for. They can explore those on their own. And they meet with Sarah to get that going. All of the MCC classes go through Sarah to get signed up for. AP classes, they just sign up for like any other class at the high school. This shows the history of our enrollment and how many college credits are, the amount of students taking classes would be that first number that have taken a college MCC class. That's how many credits have been awarded total. So typically 3 credits per one class that they're taking. And then the total cost savings to students. You'll notice it went down last year. We had like a minor heart attack because we feel like we had as many going as before, but we had 20 less seniors than the prior years. And we noticed that, I don't know if it was COVID or not, but there was in general less students taking less college courses. So it wasn't even just MCC. But also there was only half as many kids taking AP classes as there are this year, for example. So, but I think that class, struggled and to get off on the right foot as with high school being right at the beginning of online school for them. So, then the other part was we didn't have her position filled last year. And Andrea, who had been in the position previously, was covering it, but also trying to do a full-time counselor position. So that was part of what could have affected those numbers as well. So we're excited because we have a lot this year. So we'll update you next year. Stay tuned. Okay, and I mentioned the student leaders, the AmeriCorps student leaders earlier. They are seniors that are working with their cohort and trying to encourage them and work with them. They set up in Sarah's classroom.
They have like office hours that they set during the day when they have an open block. So I think it's like 4th and 5th, I believe. And so students can come in and just get help with anything that they're working on. Even if they don't need help, like they can sit in there and just talk to them about, this is what this is my offer letter, or this is what I learned about campus so far. And they have somebody else that's kind of trained in that, because the 2 students did go to a training up in Des Moines. And so they learned about FAFSA and scholarships and everything that goes into like college planning activities. So they kind of had a big crash course in that. And then they're the voice to the students that we can't get to. I know I pass things along to them just as much as I pass things on to Steph and Katie to share with students, just so that they can get it out. Like with the FAFSA, with the delay, a lot of students were trying to fill out their scholarships, but they didn't have their numbers back yet. And so I got the workaround from one of the, I think it was the ICANN people sent it out. And so then I was telling the students at West Liberty, okay, go back to everybody and now show them here and go here, and then they can use this number for now. So it's just little things like that, but I think it's worked out really good, and they get lots of really good data that they share with us so that we know what the students' plans are and who we still need to talk to. And
it helps us when we're planning the senior day events and the decision day to get their feedback and input on what they would like to have at the events too, the things that we're not thinking of.
So this one, I just cut and paste this. So if you go, I can't remember what page it's on. There's a link to this, but this is the, it's part of the school report card, if you will, for West Liberty High School. I thought I had the link to it on there. Oh, there it is. Thank you. Yeah. And so if you go back to that one, it's the trend data, there you go. So compared to the state, our numbers are a significant chunk higher, but this would be the students that are that have taken college level courses and what percent took at least one college level class while in high school. And so our numbers are, I think, look pretty splendid. So I just threw that graphic in there. And this, so one of the goals we have at the high school is that every senior take a college level course before they graduate. And as Steph went through, that could be an AP course, it could be a concurrent course, it could be an academy, it could be a CCIR. And so this is what our numbers look like, just in tracking how many kids have taken at least one college level course before they graduate. Then this last one, so this is the part you have to vote on, I do believe, or is right. So we listed all of the classes that are offered and with their college number. They're currently. And I have one other thing that I don't know if you want to vote first or if you want me to, I'll tell you this. The other thing that I wanted to share, and I think I shared with Sean, but in the fall, the counselors put together what they call a senior day. So all the seniors meet at the Muscatine County Fairgrounds and spend some time creating their FSAIDs and exploring four-year colleges and two-year colleges and straight to the workforce and certificates and apprenticeships. And they're just this phenomenal thing. And it caught the eye of the state people. And so Danielle Sampson, who's part of the ICANN, so the Iowa College Aid Network, nominated West Liberty High School for the American College Application Campaign School of Excellence Award. And so we should find out at the end of March, early April, if that, and so that's at the national level. But then April 10th, the Department of Ed and ICANN is coming out to present that to us. That's a Wednesday at our professional development. So just wanted to say before you vote, kudos to the counselors and all the hard work they do. So any questions or comments?
Congratulations on that. It's outstanding.
I'm looking for the CNC on there. Is it somewhere
It's-
in there?
No, it's in a part of an academy. It's the Advanced Manufacturing Academy.
Oh, this is the,
These are the classes offered at the high school. So they're taught by high school staff and students receive both college and high school credit.
and I guess I had another question. You had your partners on there. You also work with like Upward Bound at the University of Iowa and Latino Can. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
And one thing that we mentioned, you know, that our goal is to have every student take at least one, and then we've had lots of students take great, like many opportunities, and it's not going to be uncommon for students to go to college with close to, I mean, almost being a sophomore. So if they do the academy for 2 years and plus our dual credit classes plus AP classes, it's pretty amazing. And a lot of them are built into the dual language program, so Spanish 5 and is their 11th grade year of dual language, and then their 12th grade of dual language is taking AP Spanish language. So they're getting both dual credit and the AP Spanish experience, which is pretty cool.
Yes,
that's
really difficult.
The
I mean, that's
process-
what I'm hearing.
It'll be easier eventually, but it's the process of switching it over.
The
has
form
been
is
a real-
easier, but things have been changed, like they decided halfway through to go back and like redo the inflation tables. And so I think that's what's caused the holdup right now for the colleges actually getting the information, so. It's not harder to do, the ones that I've helped students with, it's gone really well, but then like they still have a lot that they're trying to roll out. They are trying. So it's frustrating working with teenagers and telling them, I'm sorry, I can't tell you that right now. You just have to be patient.
One thing I was thinking in the by the numbers slide, when it shows like the quantity of students and then the quantity of credits, I think it would be interesting to look at what's the percentage of total. Just to understand like, oh, it was really truly because we had a lower head count. I
Sure.
know that that's the fact right now, because you guys have looked into
If
it,
you go
but
to the next
you'd be able to see
slide,
it.
it might.
It shows it
Maybe
like by
not.
class,
Mhm.
but it doesn't show it as a whole.
Oh.
So it's like,
Oh,
you know,
okay.
it's kind of broken down, which you can
Yeah.
kind of draw some
Sure,
conclusions
sure.
from, but
Yep.
I think it'd be interesting to see as a whole, how that goes.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then, I think as a tool for the students, Brenda, using one of those, the GPA comparison to like you did for absenteeism, showing like, look, it's not that scary to take AP classes. It's not that scary because I know many students are like, I don't want to take that because it's going to risk my GPA or, you know, whatever that may look like. But if you show them like, hey, look, those that take 2 or more AP classes actually have better GPAs or something to that effect, or whatever the data may show. I think that could be a tool for you to encourage more.
Need a motion to approve the concurrent enrollment
Of course.
classes, yeah. I make a motion.
And a second,
1 second.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Carries. Thank you very much for the in-depth.
Yeah, that's super interesting.
Thank you.
Nice meeting you guys.
Yes.
The next item is to discuss and approve through potential. The director of teaching and learning position.
So Melody Russell is an instructional coach at middle school, been here quite a while. She essentially, her role consists mainly of roles and responsibilities that are very similar or essentially are the same as like a curriculum person or director of teaching and learning. And so she's retiring. And so in working with the administrators, talking about replacing that position, we discussed, you know, what all the responsibilities, roles, things that she's doing and so forth. So like she works with the instructional coaches in the TLC program. She works with the new teachers and leads the mentoring program for that. And oversees that, leads the SIOP for new teachers, does our curriculum cycles, so our curriculum adoption. She lines up the resources, the reviews of the curriculum, works with various groups of staff on doing that, etc. She helps with some of the professional development that they do, some test support, like helps with setting up SRI testing with Ramos fast. Etc. And so again, you know, a lot of those things are essentially director teaching and learning. So we thought, well, do we want to replace that with exactly, you know, the current role that she has, or are there things that we could even do to enhance that role, add to it, and make it even better for our teachers, you know, for our district. So we discussed, you know, making that more of a year-round position, and then adding in a few things to it, just to expand it and just make it, you know, just even a little more supportive of the various, you know, buildings that we have in the district. So a few things that we've talked about adding would be, you know, the evaluator approval. So if this person has their evaluator approval, now they can go in and work with the principals on actually evaluating the instruction of some of the various curriculum that they're working on. You know, they could take maybe a bigger role in some of the ELL support and the ELL work that the teachers do, be more involved in dual language. You know, could get into all 3 buildings, assist teachers in various aspects with PD, become more versed in MTSS, which is a major goal of our secondary campuses, middle school and high school. In addition to PLCs, which is what our one of the main focuses of our elementary. So I think there'd be more than enough to have this person help us with and assist us with in increasing that role. So it'd pretty much be that role plus would be the director of teaching and learning. Anything else you want to add to that kind of nutshell version there, Brenda?
No, I think we talked a little bit about maybe being able to increase the cohesion with a vertical alignment with one person that could help oversee and work more directly with transitioning from grade to grade, or working with those teachers to talk about the transition from grade to grade and building to building. That would be the only thing.
Yeah, so I know that's kind of a quick synopsis there, but any questions? I don't,
So the current position that Melody Russell has
yes,
is instructional coach.
correct.
And so in changing this, the instructional coaches would then roll up through her
Yes,
or through this position,
yes,
this-
correct.
director of teaching and
Correct.
learning. So
Yep.
that gives them a little bit more. I like the fact that then there's a little bit more kind of rolling up under and not
Mhm.
such as who reports to who and
Yeah.
who do I listen to if I'm getting
A
done.
little more unified
Yeah.
and yeah, cohesion,
that.
and yeah, absolutely, for sure,
Mhm.
for sure. That would definitely do that.
Is there already, is this already something that has been, discussed or sought, like, I guess, I mean, phrase it a different way, is there already a pipeline that we think that we could have some internal candidates for this type of position? Or are we gonna have to do a full-scale search where we may not end up filling it? Like, I worry about the gap that could be left if we're looking for something too difficult to find. I worry that this might be difficult to find. Maybe it's not, but.
It could be, you definitely want the right person.
Right.
And I don't know where that right person is right now. We don't have anybody in mind. So I'd like us, if approved, we post this, put it out there. And see what we get for applicants. I know there's. Well. Yeah, so we would just, we put it out there and see what we get. I would anticipate we would get quite a few applicants for this position. But you know, again, there's some certain specific items for our district, which, you know, I doubt we're gonna get somebody with a skill set that covers every one of those items, so. You know, I'm sure they have to do some training and a little extra work up front to get up to speed where we're at.
And it says it would be a required administrator's license. Is that like
Yeah.
a principal type level?
It'd be an admin degree, that's correct. So with an admin degree, you can pretty much do any of the director roles, like you can be a director of special services or a director of special ed or a curriculum director or assistant principal. Yeah, so it really fits
So
all
a
of
teacher would
those.
actually need to go back to school to get it set.
Yes, correct.
Okay. And is that what the instructional coaches need now or no?
No, they do
Okay.
not.
It's like a bachelor's degree. Melody probably had a master's. It's fairly seasoned, right?
Yes, she does, but I don't know that, I guess.
Because it seems like this is a huge position description, so there would be a lot of training, perhaps if we get someone more at an entry level into this.
Is it a common position in the other districts have, or is it?
I'd say it's a very common position. I mean, if you get in very small districts, you don't see them nearly as often, or they're combined with other roles. But I think when you get into districts our size, just in looking, I could get on ISB and see exactly what districts have that role, but there's quite a few. Like I say, every district our size has them. Quite a few. What's that?
We had this role in the past, but it's been
I
5
feel like-
years.
It was, I thought it was combined with the AD. Right, or assistant principal was kind of this, I can't, it was something at the high school that I felt like was combined with this, is that right?
Before I was here, my understanding was that the ELC director was also the curriculum director, and so did both. So what I like about this position, again, considering our size, if I may, Sean.
Yeah, please.
Is we have some pretty fantastic programs that are currently the administrators in the district are doing their best to take care of. Vicky Vernon has tag in 504. I have dual and ESL. Andrew has equity. So there's all kinds of programs that are, and we wouldn't pass those on to this person. But if this person were able to do the curriculum cycle and some of those other tasks, then that leaves us a little more time to do some of those other jobs that are attached to what we currently do. We're not trying to say we have too much work and we want to give it to someone else, but I think it helps bridge some of those big tasks.
More support.
Yeah.
How much is the projected pay increase? Like from what Melody would be at to, or like what Melody's position is at to something like Director of Teaching and Learning?
She's on a teaching contract with extended days for,
Difference.
so this would be, I'd like this to be 260, or, we talked about that 240 to 260, so it'd be more year round. So I don't know, maybe it'd be 20,000 more or somewhere in there. Give or take.
So just nothing like majorly drastic. I mean, it's not, the nice part is that it's a replacement and a little bit of a boost versus a completely new position, because then we're talking 60 to 80 or whatever it might be.
And this is coming out of categorical funding, the TLC funding that we receive.
And who would the position report to?
Me.
Okay.
So we're voting on the position description and with that, a salary, is that? Or.
We don't have a salary in there, just the description.
The salary, I think, would go along with the hire of the person, right? Is that right? It follows more the person than the role.
So it'd be like a range that it would go out at. Is that-
Yes,
Right, yeah. Depending on qualifications and
correct.
education and that kind of thing.
Yep.
And kind of like the discussion you just shared
Yeah.
with where it would fall.
Margin.
Yeah.
Any other questions or comments on that? With that, I would entertain a motion to approve the position of Director of Teaching and Learning.
I'll make a motion.
In a second.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Carries. I guess also any of those. Gotcha. All right. Gotta get better at that. Next item, budget discussion. Fiscal year 25.
So this is just to kind of go over our budget amendment for the current fiscal year. And then also what we're looking at for tax rate for next fiscal year. First, the amendment of the fiscal year 24 budget. This is something that gets published in the newspaper. Should be in there this week. And then as well as the proposed tax notice will be in there as well. A couple areas that I'm just amending to increase, just some timing of things, SR projects. Also, property liability insurance falls in that total support services bucket as well, which had a pretty big increase, but mainly that reason is just different SR projects. We had the playground, the LC playground that we ended up doing, and we kind of did that in the middle of the year after budget was set. Some repair maintenance type things to the buildings would fall in that as well. And then the total other expenditure is increasing quite a bit, and that's just the timing of our capital projects that I had in the prior budget. Obviously went past that June 30th deadline, so just kind of catching up on those. So I ran a new money trend, a couple different ones. SSA still isn't set. So we don't know exactly what new money we're getting for purposes of the budget, which had to be due or had to be turned in by last Friday for the county to send out, they will be mailing out a proposed tax notice to every household within our district of the proposed tax rate that we had to set it at the highest that we think it will be. So I used an SSA of 3%. I haven't heard talks of anything higher than that at the state level. I've heard talks of 2.5%, but in order to get approval for that top tax rate, I went with the 3% because that gave us the highest one. So if SSA gets set at 3%, our new money for next year will be $402,000 with our increase in enrollment. If it's at the 2.5%, we're looking at a $355,000 increase. So kind of a sizable difference just with that 0.5%. For the new money we'll get. Just a little valuation overview. So like I said it at 3% for this. If SSA is lower than that, the property tax rate will fall a little bit. It just kind of shows the valuations there. As you see, the valuations actually stayed pretty level, which is unfortunate as well, because then you're have to increase those tax rates to get the same dollar for your money. So that's part of the reason of the increase as well, along with the increase in enrollment. So just a little overview: property taxes, funding per student paid by a combination of local property tax and funds from the state, which we call state aid. The property taxes make up about 1/3 of our total funding in the general fund. This is where the teacher salaries come, non-facility related programs, curriculum, all the things. So then the mix of property tax and state aids is determined by a formula. Districts that have lower values have to have higher rates, vice versa, in order to get the same amount of money. Just a few things included in the general fund property tax component. We have a uniform levy that's set throughout every district, and then we kind of have to get up to the amount of money that we need to fund that enrollment level, and it varies based on those valuations of property. We don't have a cash reserve levy currently because our fund balance is over that 20%, but I foresee that happening in the next few years. So also something to keep in mind is that would increase the rate as well once we are able to levy for that cash reserve. This is just a breakout of the different levies within our tax rate. Majority general fund. The management fund is the 1.10. That is like property liability insurance is the big amount that goes there. And we have our votive couple and regular couple. We don't have a debt service levy because we don't have any general obligation bonds right now. This is the notice that will be in the paper this week, and this is kind of what is being sent out to every resident. Just a look at property tax rate history. Yeah, we foresee a little bit of an increase this year, but and even before that 2020, our rates were much higher. So still trending down, but you know, sometimes with the ebb and flow of enrollment, those numbers are going to change.
I feel like pre-2020 was as high as like 17%.
Yeah, back when the general obligation bonds and we had a cash reserve levy and stuff. So yeah, considerably dropped since then. But nobody likes to see the rising rate. I understand, but also have to be able to fund our students. So
Didn't ESSER have a pretty big impact on that, and then not getting some of those positions hired as well on that coming down, or
not necessarily the property tax rate that wouldn't really affect. It's a set formula, so it's really based on enrollment, not necessarily
Primarily enrollment, property value, and quantity of people, or quantity of houses in the area.
Yeah, it may be is drawing out how long it is before we can reserve or do a cash reserve levy, I guess, because of that extra funding it caused our fund balance to jump up. So that's kind of the big effect of that, I would say, on the tax rate.
So theoretically, as new properties are built in a community, which would also theoretically be higher cost homes, that would keep or drop the tax rate required.
Yeah, those, if
Because if
the
they're
valuations
higher value
jump,
homes,
yeah.
It brings up the
that's-
average.
Yep, that is a good point as well. And then this is just the unspent authorized budget, which is the big measure we like to keep an eye on, and it's kind of what we're projected so far. So the estimated fiscal year 2023, that's pretty set. That is what it was for fiscal year 2023, and then what we're projecting about $1 million drop in that, and then the following year could be another million or two. So that's that rate we really have to keep an eye on. Is yes, we're trying to spend that down, but also we have to keep forecasting. Yeah, we don't want it to go too fast. Any questions? Hopefully before the budget actually is set, we'll know more from the state, but at this point, I'm keeping my fingers crossed.
No questions, we'll move to the next item. That was not an action item, please. WLCSD Board Guiding Principles Resolution. Ed, you want to lead the conversation on this one?
Yeah, I'd like to propose that the West Liberty Community School District Board look at this resolution. So I'll read it here. The mission of the West Liberty Community School District includes the following, quote, this is paraphrased, to support and engage students in challenging, diverse learning opportunities to prepare them for productive and meaningful lives in a changing world. And the vision declares that the West Liberty Community School District partners with families, staff, and community members to develop our students' abilities and make possible the discovery and pursuit of their dreams to the benefit of the greater society. So I'd like to assert that we acknowledge and promote the positive contributions and value of our uniquely diverse community, and that we pledge to continue to empower our students and their families through our policies and practices, along with the West Liberty community. And our commitment is to better communicate with our state legislators to understand and recognize the value of our school district in their deliberations for the state of Iowa through sharing a positive and accurate narrative.
Any thoughts before? I guess my only question is, how do you view this as being disseminated? Like what's the preferred method of dissemination of this?
Well, it'll be in our minutes here for sure. And I think also we need to look at that. Maybe our communication committee can help with that.
Yeah.
So I don't have an exact plan, but I think by asserting it, we can share the leadership's view of who we are as a community and what we think of as far as communicating that to our community, to our state, et cetera.
Okay.
Yeah.
So effectively, because this is listed as an action item, the action would, or the motion would be something around the fact of presenting to the communication committee for their digestion, I guess, and consideration for how they would want to put it out. And then also for the board to effectively follow this ideology. Is that kind of a fair assessment?
Yeah, and I was on the communication committee, but I am no longer. I wouldn't mind ad hoc being added to it because I do have some ideas for that. Right now, we're on our 25th year celebrating the dual language program. I think we're doing things, but perhaps we can really focus on that with our legislators, helping them understand the value and the power of that program. Our numbers are fantastic. I mean, there's no question. I hope that our school system isn't superior We've won awards in the past for FFA. We've won awards for being one of the best schools in the nation and in Iowa from USA Today. So I think those are the kinds of things we need to communicate and maybe invite some legislators to come and see our district, see our community, and better understand a narrative that perhaps they are not seeing.
Right.
Yeah.
I suppose in that vein, Sean, could you maybe help Ed facilitate connection with the communications committee? That way that you guys can connect better on that. And then being able to, I would assume that would be a good opportunity for you to kind of expand on this with them in that regard, and then again, connecting on the 25-year portion.
Can I make one more comment?
Of course.
I guess this proclamation or this, but what I'm presenting resolution, I know that we have to be careful as far as what we can do as a board. So op-eds and that kind of thing, everything will have to be vetted prior to going out. And I think that's important for the communication committee or any individual school board member that may consider something in addition, let's say like an op-ed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think I've kind of stated in the past that what any individual board member says on their own time is their own prerogative. Yeah, obviously, I think it's articulated in the document we sign when we get on the board that once you leave this room, you're kind of just a citizen, right? So then that's your words being said at that point in time. So you're not necessarily speaking for the district in that vein, but as a collective, being mindful of how we go through that and then vetting it through the proper channels before it goes out, kind of thing. Is that?
And this is an opportunity to speak as a board and to show the leadership that we feel is important.
Any other discussion, commentary, questions? All right, so this being a resolution to be acted upon, if so desired, somebody would make a motion effectively to present this resolution to the communications committee for digestion and next steps. I guess it's probably the most concise way of stating it. Is that right?
That'd be fine.
I'll make a motion.
And a second, please.
A second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Carries. Thank you. And I'm sorry for how difficult this can be, this process, but
No worries. Thanks for the coaching.
Yeah,
For
no,
you,
I
bringing
think-
it from Sean and also my committee member. So,
I think it's
thank you.
it's a good learning experience because there's a lot of red tape, but once we've done it a time or two, then it gets a lot easier. Like a lot of these things, it's like the first time we do it, it's so mind numbing to try to figure out how do we do this without getting in trouble? And maybe we don't, but on the off chance we do, I don't want to pay any fines, so. Next item is the county extension agreement for 24-25.
Sure, I thought it was passed last time, but
Oh.
okay, no, that's fine. So, yeah, I can talk a little bit about it. We contract with Iowa State University Extension for a community liaison is her official title. She works with students at the 9-12 level, but also coordinates with the resource navigator that works K-8. Primarily at the high school, she works with new families and helping them connect with local resources, county-wide, community-wide. Also works with newcomer students and families on, I guess it's still community resources, but as far as immunizations and school paperwork and completing all of the forms that may need to happen, works well with, or has a 4-H group through Iowa State Extension that is primarily, actually probably 100% West Liberty students. So takes those kiddos to the county fair and to the state fair, takes kids to a lot of conferences that are sponsored or supported by Iowa State Extension. The current position is 32 hours, 30 hours. That's a great question.
It's a 0.8 FTE.
Okay. Okay. And so works primarily mid-morning through early afternoon or evening, doing a lot of that outreach with families. So not always just during the school day, and banks time, and works in the summer, primarily with the 4-H kiddos. What questions do you have? I don't know how in depth to explain what she does. She's bilingual, she's invaluable, especially to our new families, in getting them connected and helping them feel welcomed and a part of the school and community at large.
I don't know how many years we've had her, but we've had her ever since I've been here, so I know at least 5, but I don't know how long before that.
When I started here, we had a community liaison through Iowa State University Extension, and it was Becky Vargas. So, so it's a long-standing position, works well. She attends parent-teacher conferences, and so interprets for families. It's a pretty important position for only being 0.8, I would say.
And we're talking about Lupita.
Si, senor.
Let's say it. And I know she's very passionate, and I suspect she's probably putting in more than these hours because of her passion. I should say that, right? But yeah, I think she's awesome, and she's a real asset for our community and for our district. So I think it's great. As far as the extension, there's other programs that they offer, like Solaris Adelante. Would it be possible to visit with her about potentially a role in helping us perhaps recruit a facilitator for that? I think the funding would come from a nonprofit, but her skill set and her understanding of our district would help. You're familiar with that? It's the old Who Does It? Becky, I think, was part of also. Yeah.
Yes, there's no room in her schedule to ask her to facilitate any of those programs.
Right. But she could help
Definitely, but
with some guidance and stuff.
perhaps.
Right.
Any other questions about this position or the continuance of the agreement? I would entertain a motion to continue the Muscatine County Extension Agreement.
I'll move.
And a second.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Carries. Next item is that board policy file 5.8. First reading. And family engagement. Is the topic.
So this is a mandatory policy that should be updated annually. I believe the last update was in 2019. And so as part of the universal desk audit that we submit documents and data for the Department of Ed, this is one of the policies that they are asking for just to have submitted as part of the desk audit. And so this is the updated version of that policy for the first reading. It's taken from the ISB, and then the bullets, the numbers 1 through 6 include items that the elementary, the Title I school or elementary is doing as part of the Title I plan.
Essentially, it seems like most of what's added is just effectively a rider or a description stating that they need to hold parent-teacher conferences for those students. I mean, that's pretty much every bullet is just and parent-teacher conference and so nothing incredibly groundbreaking nor too different than what we're already doing, just formalizing it, it seems.
Yes, correct.
Any discussion on that? Preliminary discussion, I guess. We'll have another discussion, of course, if needed, when we do the second reading next meetings. Okay. Next item is the consent agenda.
Normal things were included in the packet, minutes from the last 2 meetings, warrants, treasurer's report.
We had 2 retirements, Millie Russell, TLC instructional coach, TLC instructional coach leader, TLC curriculum leader. End of this year, along with Lynn Dawson, high school special ed teacher, end of the current school year. Couple resignations, Elise Charles at the middle school art, and Grace Brown, second grade dual language self-contained. Into this year, and then a few new hires, Sam Gingrich, assistant varsity girls track coach, Julieta Fernandez, middle school para, Shelby Husky, high school office manager. And then Heidi
Tapia.
high school ESL teacher, and that's for next year. I don't have the salaries on there yet for next year people, teachers, because we haven't done negotiations, so. But it will fall in line with that step on the new salary schedule.
And we still don't, we're not sure from the state still, or did they decide? I can't remember.
No,
I don't
we
think so.
haven't gotten SSA or any movement on the teacher pay, so we've kind of been waiting. At some point, we're probably just gonna have to do it and
Yeah.
redo it if we have to.
I mean, it seemed like even after the last meeting, I thought a couple days later, it had made some movement on the teachers' salaries and then it stopped again. So it's
Yeah.
like,
That's kind of how
So
it's
sit,
been.
Senate just stuck.
yeah,
There's a lot of things just sitting with the Senate right now, just stuck there, so just waiting and seeing. Now,
The minute we decide, then they'll push something through, so.
yeah. And I guess we would just have to edit at that point.
Yeah,
So,
yep.
okay, so with that being said, if there's no questions, we would need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion.
And a second,
I'll second.
all fair say aye. Carries, the next meeting we will have on April 1st, that is not a trick. We will be here. We will have property tax hearing number 1, which is basically just the formalization of what Abby just presented about the 13% or so, correct?
Yeah, well, this is the first year, so I said that thing is getting mailed, so that's new.
Gotcha.
In the past, that's never happened, and with that, we're now required to do 2 public hearings. So this will be the first public hearing. The second one will then be on that following meeting. Yep.
And then we will have the public hearing also for the amendment that we discussed. And then hopefully an approval of that same amendment. Sean will give his superintendent report, and then we'll start the first reading of 700 to 711.9 and the second reading of 505.8.
And we had to move esports update, so that will be on the next meeting as well.
Yeah, I was gonna ask about that. I wasn't sure if they were gonna go to the following one or this.
Yeah, it'll be on April 1st.
Awesome. That being said, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion.
In a second,
Awesome.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Carries, adjourned 7:27.